Bonita's Kitchen. What I'm going to be making for you today is traditional Newfoundland stuffed cod. I'm going to be using a full cod, which have already been deboned, and I'm going to be making a dressing, a stuffing to go on the inside, the same as what you would make to put in your traditional turkey. So what I'm going to be using here now is about 2 cups of grated or crumbs from your bread, if it's homemade bread or if it's just store-bought. So I'm going to make sure it's all grated up like that into crumbles, and I'm going to be using about 1/4 cup of onion, and that's diced into small pieces, just 1/4 cup because that's a full onion there. I'm going to be using about a tablespoonful of savory. You can get that at your grocery store. I'm going to be using about a third of a teaspoonful of pepper, grated pepper, and the same 1/3 of a teaspoonful of sea salt, and a tablespoonful of butter. So it's going to look like this when it's all in together. So we're going to work this together. We're going to break down your butter and mix everything together with your hands, of course. And this will incorporate all of your ingredients you put in it together, and then it'll look something like this. Okay, now that we got our stuffing, our dressing, all ready to go, we're going to bring our fish closer to us. Just pat it dry. You need it cleaned, deboned. I'm using a frozen fish that my son caught for me this summer, and I froze it especially for this occasion, of course. I'm going to be adding now my stuffing. So you got the inside of your fish opened. Again, it's clean, deboned, and ready to stuff. So you're going to put a nice helping. You don't need to overstuff it because you got to have room to close off your fish. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, so it looks like this would be enough. So we're going to wrap it over. Now I already, like you said, we got our salt, pepper, we got our butter, we got the savory already dressed into this fish. So you're going to pinch it all together nice so it's in there. Okay, so now that I got the fish all stuffed, we're going to close it off with just ordinary thread. Now some, or I would say elders, Newfoundland elders, used to sew the belly together with the thread. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the thread and to just put it around. You just keep going around with it until you got all of the fish covered, and this is just to keep the stuffing inside of your fish, because you want to keep all that there. You don't want to have it in the bottom of your pan. So when you get a nice equal amount like this, so it's just closed in, just cut off your thread and just tuck it in under your fish. Okay, now that we got our cod all wrapped, I'm going to be sliding it out onto this parchment paper, because we're going to cook it on this parchment paper. We want to keep it opened in the oven because we want to crisp up the skin. Talking a little bit about, I'm using a codfish because that's our traditional fish, but you could use whatever local fish you have on hand. It could be whitefish, it could be salmon, and further up north, of course, it would be char. So now that I got it on this parchment paper, I'm going to convert it over now onto my baking pan. You can use a flat cookie sheet, or you could use a glass baking pan. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to sprinkle the top with a little bit of salt. And you can use your discretion. This is a fresh cod. It's not salted. You can put as much or as less spice on it as you want. Traditionally, our elders, I would say, would use pork, fat pork. I'm going to use strips of bacon because that would be my preference for my fish, and I do have a little bit of meat and fat on there, and this is to give it that little bit of grease that it needs because the fish could be quite dry. I'm going to be putting this in a preheated oven on 350 degrees, and I'm going to start it out for 30 minutes. I'm thinking that my fish is about 1 pound to 2 pounds, and it, you know, maybe 40 minutes would be the max I would need, but we're going to try it at 30 minutes first. So let's go. Okay, so now while we're waiting for our stuffed codfish to bake, I'm going to be making what we call in Newfoundland drawing butter. And this is a white roux that would go over the top of your fish after you cook it and I'm ready to serve. So we're going to be putting 2 tablespoonfuls of butter, preferably non-salted because you're going to be using salt in the recipe already. So let that melt down. Okay, so butter is all ready to go. I got 1.5 medium onions, and this is cut up in small pieces. I mean, you can have it smaller than what I have already done it, but this is going to caramelize. It's going to look something like this when it's in your pan. So let that fry down. I got it on a medium heat there now. And what I'm going to add to it is about 4 or 5 grates of salt and the same equal amount of pepper. And again, to your taste, you might like a little more, a little less. We're going to let all of this now caramelize, and then after when that does, I'll show you how to make your drawing butter. Okay, this is coming along quite nice. I'm just going to let it caramelize just a little bit more till it breaks down the onion, and then we'll do the next step. Okay, so our onions are ready. So now what we're going to do is take 2 tablespoonfuls of flour. We're going to sprinkle on the top of your onions. It's going to look something like this, and you're going to mix this around just until it's all incorporated. Now I just finished boiling down some potatoes, carrot and turnip that I'm going to have as a side dish with my fish, and I poured off a cup of the vegetable broth. So I'm going to mix this slowly into our onion and flour. So I'm gradually putting it in there because I want for it to thicken. So you gradually pour that in. It's very simple. This is not a difficult dish, but you do have to keep turning it so that it don't turn to lumps. You just want it as a nice liquid, and which is called drawing butter. Alright, so it's going to look something like this. Just set it on low heat there now, or put it to the side while you're waiting for your fish to finish. Okay, so this is looking very nice. We just set it again, like we said, to the side while we're waiting for our fish. Okay, now I'm going to check on my fish. I'm thinking that it's ready to come out here now. It just looks absolutely amazing. So let's bring it to the counter. Okay, now that we got our fish out, we added in the oven for 30 minutes first, and I checked it on 350 degrees, and then I put it in for another 20 minutes. And again, depending on your oven, you might have to put it to 400 degrees. This is about a 2.5 pound fish, and it's about 20 minutes a pound, so you can base on that. Again, I'll put it on my recipe so that you would understand that. I'm going to put it out now onto my wooden board, and we'll start cutting it. Okay, so I'm going to put it on my wooden board so that I can get ready to curve it. Okay, I'm going to move the bacon to the side, and again, you can add this to your meal, but I just need to take the thread off, because you don't need that on there while you're cutting it. So just roll it all the ways off. You might be able to pull it out without rolling it in under, but you use your discretion. This is very hot. Be careful you don't burn yourself. But you need to get all that thread because you don't want that in your meal. Okay, so now the thread is off. I had a little bit of juice that I poured off from the fish. I want to put it back on because I want to keep, you want to keep it nice and moist. So now I'm going to cut a portion of the fish. So you just put your knife in through it and carve it down. I got a little bit of a, edge on my knife so it makes it easier. Now I got it cut. This is what it looks like inside. I'm going to take this portion and put to my plate. So now we got our fish on our plate, potato, carrot and turnip. I got a little bit of cranberry sauce. I'm going to reach for my drawing butter. Now while your drawing butter is sitting there, it tends to thicken. So you can also add another cup of broth, depending on if you're going to set it to the side or use it right away. So now I got that stirred. I'm going to take a little portion and just drizzle it over the top of your fish. So it's this way, and you could put a little tiny bit over your potato and carrot if that's what you're going to use for your side dish. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of this bacon to put over this as well because it looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to make myself a cranberry and ginger ale drink, and just to have with it because this makes it a little festive. This would be a great substitute for your turkey dinner if you did want turkey. But so again, this meal cooks within anywhere between 50 minutes to an hour depending on the size. My fish is about 2.5 pounds. I'm going to post that information on my Facebook page also with my YouTube video, and it'll be posted in under, the recipe will be posted in under the video. And then if you need to go to that site, is www.bonitaskitchen.com. Up in the right hand corner you will see a subscription to subscribe. Just click on that, and every meal that I put on as a video, it'll go to you and your family. So again, this is traditional Newfoundland stuffed cod, baked in the oven, full cod. Thank you for joining me for Bonita's Kitchen today. I hope this meal was helpful. You have a wonderful day.